Hello and welcome to Cooking in the Kitchen with Boomchang Records, DC Coast to Coast. Well, another fantastic guest in today, Mark Deeks, all the way from Westmore, which is apparently somewhere near Killingworth. Now, how are you doing, Mark? Are you all right?
All right, yeah, I'm good.
Great. I was actually going to introduce you this morning as Newcastle's answer to Bach or Beethoven. So what do you think about that?
That's a lot to take in.
I mean, obviously the hairstyle's slightly different to them guys, but from what I've seen of you and been around, I've noticed you in the kind of orchestral scene. You do choirs and, you know, connected that way. Tell us a little bit about how you got into music and where you started.
Oh, it's a wide-ranging thing. I mean, I only really have a simple beginning in terms of I went to piano lessons when I was a kid, and the guy who taught me to play lived in George Stevenson's cottage, which is in Westmore.
Right.
And
near Killingworth.
It is quite near Killingworth by the time you get that end of Westmore, yeah.
Okay.
And so he was a jazz musician at heart, but he taught me to play classically. But because he was really into jazz, he was always saying, "Oh, you know, what do you want to learn to play by ear?" and taught me to improvise. And so I kind of got these two sides of piano tuition rather than just one, and I'm really grateful for that because that meant, you know, I can play off the dots, which is useful as a piano player,
It's
but
a good
also
skill to have, isn't it?
to be able to improvise and play by ear and just wing stuff as well. So yeah. Simple beginning from that point of view.
Right.
But whether I'm part of an orchestral scene, I don't know. I have conducted the Northern Symphonia through.
Well, that's pretty.
But yeah, I mean that is.
Good,
I guess that is pretty full on. But it's not something I do a huge amount. I conduct choirs, you're right, but they tend to be more sort of pop choirs, so we tend to be with a live band or with just piano. So yeah.
Okay. The choir thing seems to have come on quite a lot since the TV shows of like Britain's Best Choir or whatever. That seems to become.
Yeah.
I think the choir scene has been good for many years, but it's become to the forefront.
Absolutely, yeah. It's starting to get a lot more exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us have been doing it for quite a long time.
Yeah. I mean, how did you get into that? So you started off with a piano, and then you got into your jazz stuff, which was a good crossover for you, and then you started.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're a piano player, you kind of need to be able to adapt to a lot of different situations if you're going to make a living at it, you know. Right. And piano tends to lend itself to accompanying work. So you tend to get a lot of accompanying music theatre, accompanying choirs, accompanying singers in exams and whatever. So accompanying tends to be a big part of what you do. Right. So yeah, when I was looking for work, I contacted various organisations, and as is often the case, they're looking for sort of reliable accompanists, and I ended up working with a guy called Gary Griffiths, who's a musical director, and I've accompanied his choirs and become the assistant musical director with Inspiration UK now. So we've been working together about 10 or 11 years now.
Brilliant. That's absolutely excellent. So your own compositions, do you find that from other sources? Is it just natural for you? Who's your influences and things?
It's a really difficult situation because at heart I'm actually an extreme metal fan, so that
really?
Metal is the music that really makes me hardcore.
Yeah, is it?
But then I love Motown, and
right.
as a piano player I end up coming into contact with lots of different styles of music, so it's a massive hodgepodge of styles. Yeah. So when it comes to writing my own music, I can hear influences of metal bands like, I don't know, like Opeth and Anathema and these kind of things, but then I can also hear, people sort of compare it to sort of the kind of chill out piano music like people like Einaudi write these days, and it's that kind of ballpark. Whether it's also got some classical influence, I don't know. I find it really difficult to describe my own music. I know a lot of musicians do.
Yeah, but you're kind of connected to music from, I suppose, when you start off with your classical stuff, right? Yeah. And I know you're going, oh, I'm not really, that's my bag. But if we go back to classical music in general, a lot of that influence is just transferred over the generations, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
The chord progressions, some of the melodies, you know, somebody's written them somewhere, and that influence has been there. I think we can not only go back, I mean, I don't know if I would want to go back to Baroque period particularly, but I mean, if you go back to that sort of, that generation of people, how did they get their influences? We all get it from somewhere, don't
Absolutely,
we?
yeah.
So, yeah.
And a lot of the music I write and listen to, and also I've just finished a PhD as well, which has got a big overlap into the subject I was writing about had a lot of overlap into folk music.
Right.
So these kind of melodies, I think, have sort of seeped into what I do. So I can hear these things. I'm not entirely sure whether other people can, but I feel like there's this kind of sort of pot of stuff's been put together. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, are you going to play us a little bit of some of your original compositions?
I can do, yeah. So I've just released an album called Lightburst, and all of the tracks on it are named in Old Northumbrian, because my PhD was about heavy metal music that represents where it's from. So it's connected back to sort of musicians like Sibelius and Varga and stuff, where the music came representative of where they're from. So I really like this idea of how musicians, either through the music or the artwork, can try to represent their region or their country and have some kind of identity like that. So yeah, this piece of music is called Lug, which in Old Northumbrian means flame.
Whoa.
Cheers.
That was fantastic.
Thanks very much.
Really paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm finding that people are having that kind of reaction to it. Yeah.
It's powerful. It's really, really good. I mean, for me, it's just like, I don't know. You talked about Northumberland because you obviously planted the seed there, but it's just see the hills and see the water. You see all of that, so it's absolutely fantastic.
All of the tracks on the album are named after something to do with light, some different kind of aspect of light, and I'm hoping to sort of keep that going in future records and have different sort of themes like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. So your album's out.
It is.
It's out and available around about. How many tracks have you done on it? And
there's 9 tracks on it, so it's about just under 3/4 of an hour long, yeah.
That's brilliant. And it's all influenced by, as you said, scenes, light,
all these different... I've really approached things in a musical way. I don't really have a very strong visual brain.
Right.
So everything to me is about the music and sort of trying to take all these different influences. Yeah. But people are having quite a visual reaction to it. So I had a lady sort of who's like a dance choreographer. It's like, oh, I just totally want to choreograph that. And a lady who's a painter is like, I'm using this as my inspiration for painting. That's
fantastic.
So I'm having like people with a visual reaction, even though I don't approach it like that. So I'm finding it really interesting.
But that's really good for you, because we were just talking earlier about how music is kind of become much of a smaller commodity nowadays, and how as musicians we've got to find other ways of connecting with what we have as our gift, our art, to reach out to the masses. The fact that you're doing that is absolutely brilliant, because you're now finding another avenue for that music to connect with people, artists, photographers.
I feel like it's the kind of music that could work in sort of film and advertising, and always sort of looking for different ways to use it like that. Boy, in exhibitions, art galleries and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I'm really interested in trying to take the music to those different avenues.
It's definitely a great way. Listen, stay around. We're going to do another few tunes and a bit more banter with Mark. Stay tuned, come back, Cooking in the Kitchen.